where else except from the studios of Today95.1 FM right here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. I remain your reliable radio spokesman, the classical gentleman. My name is Reliable Reliance Odonyan. Tennis is on the show this afternoon as usual. As it is a tradition on a Sunday like this, we start from the non-football stories and then we dive in gradually into European football as well as Nigerian football. First off, we'll start off the discussion from tennis and then land it in the mixed martial arts, gaining the A-wave these days in combat sports, and then boxing also on the menu as well as football. The German Bundesliga are currently ongoing, the first of the 5 elite leagues in Europe to resume during the coronavirus season. Now coronavirus has a season. Wonderful. All right. And that we are going to keep tabs on the live scores and give you updates as they come from different centers in the German Bundesliga, as well as stories coming in from the English Premier League. 2 players now, not necessarily 2 players, but 2 persons now tested positive on the second round of tests as the APL gear up toward what they call Project Restart, which some are already talking about. You listen to expert analysis coming in from the guys right here in the studio. Emeka Denat signs in for this one. It's great to have you join us, Emeka.
Reliance, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to our teaming listeners out there. Always a pleasure to be here. I say this, and I mean, it felt good listening to the documentary on Muhammad Ali and his exploits back in the 60s. You know, after the Olympics where he won gold in 1960, we think we are privileged to have seen Mike Tyson or maybe Vladimir Klitschko, Leonard Lewis, and Vader Holyfield, and maybe the guys, this time around, Tyson Furies of this world, and Deontay Wilder and what have you. Come on, we are hard done by. We should have seen Ali. If those commentaries are anything to go by.
You're gonna make me feel bad.
No. I mean, I'm feeling bad already. Listening to the documentary, I mean, I felt very bad because we should have seen him at least. We should have seen him fight in his heydays, not against Larry Holmes in the 80s when he has passed his prime. Not even, in fact, even before 1974 when he came to Africa to fight the Rumble in the Jungle with George Foreman, he has done great and mighty things already back home, not just in the ring, but outside the ring as well. So that was truly a great man. Little wonder he's dubbed the greatest. Ali was an epitome of excellence, epitome of freedom for the black nation in the United States and what have you. It felt very great listening to those commentaries. I'm feeling bad already. Come on. Boxers these days, all this trash talk you see them doing, they learned from Muhammad Ali. He started it right from day one.
Wow. It's okay. It's okay. It's not our doing, so it's just unfortunate. It's not really unfortunate. I mean, we shouldn't regret that we were not born those days, But that's what it is. Wisdom Obina is also here. Your Superman in the world of sports. It's great to have you join us, Wisdom.
Good afternoon to you, Reliance. Good afternoon to Emeka and to you listening to us out there. I mean, a very long time ago, the UFC was formally inaugurated, and we've had fighters in years. And one man is coming out to say, okay, he thinks he's the second greatest. Well, as per popularity of the sport, this man was one man who made people who knew nothing about UFC.
Please don't mention the name of the man.
To start following UFC.
Yeah.
And as per records, I don't even think the man makes it in. But in terms of popularity, he actually makes it in. I'm talking about Conor McGregor.
I said you shouldn't mention the name. You just mentioned the name.
It's good to be here. Good afternoon.
Is this a secret?
It's not really a secret, but I needed to, hype their curiosity a little bit. All right, you've heard the voice of the gentleman right here in the studio. They will be serving you their analysis, expert analysis, backed up with fact, as it is on the studio this afternoon as we set to dive into the world of sport. Today's Sports Live is reaching you from the studios of Today95.1 FM right here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. Do not forget that you're always a part of the show, part and parcel of the show. Without you, the show is incomplete, and that is why we have feedback platforms, for you to air your contribution. I did mention that we will discuss EPL. Now, a certain man, Michael Ballack, has said something about the many persons revered Virgil van Dijk. I mean, it's going to shock you what the man says, but I will review that much later. And then, as well as dive into the world of Nigerian football, where preparations are ongoing to resume the league, and divided opinions, as well as some opinions towing in the same line, and then the nationwide League One as well. Preparations ongoing as well to see the resumption of that particular one, and then speculations about how much the nationwide League One is worth. About Okay, let me reserve the amount. I'll mention it later. Trust me, you might feel shocked, but we'll appreciate your contribution on the show. 0701 9339 962. That's the SMS and WhatsApp portal. 0701 9339 962. On Twitter, we are at Today FM 951. At Today FM 951. You can copy Emeka at Emeka Dinner. You can copy Wisdom at Wisdom_OB. You can as well copy me at Reliable Rely. You can follow those handles. I mean, if you are not following any of those handles, I wonder what you've been doing. Heated conversation we do have outside the studio, especially on Twitter. So you click the follow button as you copy us, as you send in your contribution on the show. Today's post live it is. Let's get it started. Just like that song says, we're going to rise to the top. Novak Djokovic is one man that believes he can rise to the top. He believes he will win the most Grand Slam titles and become the longest reigning world number one by the time he retires. The 32-year-old Serb said in an interview. The current world number one has 17 Grand Slam titles to his name, 2 behind Rafael Nadal and 3 fewer than Roger Federer, and said he has no doubts in his ability to overtake the other members of the so-called, in quote, Big Three. He said, and I quote, "I'm always very confident in myself. I believe I can win the most slams and break the record for the longest number one. Those are definitely my clear goals." Okay. All right. A lot of statistics right there for the man, but let's look at the man's comment before we return to some of the stats that the man has talked about, and we'll start with his goal. Wisdom. He says he wants to be the longest, active world number one, and at the same time, the tennis player now with the most Grand Slams to his title. How easy or how challenging are Djokovic goals, and does he has the consistency, or you could say the tenacity, to achieve it?
Well, lofty goals, Relance, but achievable ones, I tell you. You look at his records, accomplish some of these targets. First, being the longest reigning world number one and what have you. I think it's possible, albeit that him and the other guys who I feel can contend with him at this point are getting to the level where we expect one or two young stars to throw them off and maybe take over those spots. But we've not seen that happen in years. It's been the dominant trio completely tearing apart the little guys who are trying to come up in every Grand Slam tournament they actually go for, except the little ATPs that they will just allow the young men or the guys to actually, the likes of Dominic Thiem and Zverev and the others, to pick it up. So I think it's possible. Looking at his Grand Slam,
but what are the challenges now? There is no goal or objective that anyone sets for his or herself that is devoid of challenges, or you could say obstacles. So how challenging, you know the terrain of tennis these days, the men's tennis now, how challenging is the atmosphere for Djokovic to achieve 2 explicit goals he had set for himself? Now, I'm going to take those goals again, just for avoidance of doubt. He says he will win the most Grand Slam titles and become the longest reigning world number one. So I'm asking, what are the challenges there
in front of him?
Yeah.
The first challenge is injury. Before I talk about people competing against him, injury is the first challenge. Novak Djokovic is one man who, if he's fit and he gets on the courts now, or even against any opponent rather, definitely you expect a lot from him. But if at any point the injuries do set in for him, it could take him out for a long while at times. It could take him out for some time, and even when he returns, it probably might take him 1 or 2 more tournaments to actually pick the kind of form he was in before probably that injury set in on him and all that. So I think that's the first challenge. Then the other reliance is the guys he has fighting against him in the tennis world now, battling against him when it comes to those records he has mentioned. Now, you look at the likes of Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. Roger Federer is already on 20 Grand Slam titles already, but doesn't want to leave. And when people come to tell me he has passed his prime, maybe I could understand when it comes to dominating the tennis, male tennis. But there is no Grand Slam Roger Federer enters for, at least most of them. He finds his way to the quarterfinals and semi-finals. That's enough disturbance already, Reliance. Because if you get to meet the man in the same group of the draw or something, you are already tensed and scared. Now, there's a certain Rafael Nadal somewhere too, who at least we are not sure, but predictions will always go his way that he might pick 2 Grand Slam titles in a full year, which means we know for sure the French Open, until maybe he decides to wind down to a bit. The French Open looks like it's already a Rafael Nadal thing. Maybe they might, I think in the future, they might even change the name to maybe Rafael Nadal Open. It's possible, yes, even if we know he's going to be holding it in France. If he continues the way he's going, maybe at the end of his career, they might just decide to name it after him. We are sure he might be picking that one. Now, the other tournaments, at least, we might be sure of one of them, maybe for Rafael Nadal, possibly, while Roger Federer will be competing for the others, and maybe one other strange name might just come up to pick one. So I think those would be the regular challenges in front of him. Roger Federer is not leaving. Doesn't look like he wants to leave. When you see people are winding down, you look at Venus Williams, the sister of Serena. I think that one is winding down. It's obvious, it's clear. She crashes out in the first rounds most times, and even in the second rounds consistently. Even if we know female tennis, it happens, but it happens repeatedly. But Roger Federer is not the same thing. For example, every Grand Slam I see this man going to, he goes in to win. So I think those will be the biggest challenges for him, because getting to 20, if Roger Federer continues to extend it, maybe he picks one in 2 years or 2 in 2 years, then you might need to still work extra harder to actually get to where he is and even surpass him. And let's not forget, he's not the youngest of players. While we are talking about Roger Federer as maybe aging and Rafael Nadal, he is also aging. So if peradventure diminishing return affects everybody on age, maybe Roger Federer will start first. Be sure that Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic will join him 2 or 3 years later, So I think those are the biggest challenges in front of him in terms of doing that. And I just have a feeling somewhere that one of these days, a young star that will cause trouble, he might not win too many laurels. He might just be picking 1 or 2 Grand Slams, might come in, and actually disrupt the division. Maybe, disrupt the tennis rankings and what have you, and maybe get to second place or something, and always maybe pick 1 or 2 Grand Slams. I feel that young star is coming. I might not know who he is now at this point. But then again, to give it to Novak Djokovic, Reliance, he's a late bloomer. He picked up quite late, if you ask me. And if those kind of people if we are to go by their performances, he might actually sustain it probably for a while.
All right, Emeka, this is someone that has hinted on retirement, I think about twice recently. We discussed some times ago about, he talked about he thought of quitting the game due to the dominance of Rafa and Roger then, that more like every of his efforts were in vain. So
he hadn't won nothing then.
That time. And then recently he also talked about, he also hinted on retirement as well. Even his wife confirmed it. I'm going to get that report. Now, before I get the report, let me ask you, do you think Novak Djokovic has that tenacity, that agility, mental-wise and on the court, to see himself through? Because he said he's someone, let me see if I can quickly lay my hand on that report. He says he's not going to retire anytime soon, that he's going to stay in the game for a long while, and that will see him, achieve. All right. So do you see him as someone that has the tenacity, the agility, mental-wise and on the court, to continue as long as he could to surpass Rafa in front of him before even talking about Roger Federer?
And you look at the difference between the number of titles he has won, Grand Slam titles now, and those of Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. It's not much. Just 3 slams between the Roger Federer, who has 20, and himself on 17.
Yeah, just to add, I've seen what I was looking for. The man said he envisioned himself still playing at 40.
Roger Federer is almost 40. Roger Federer turns 39 in August.
Yeah.
And a year after, he turns 40. We saw Kimiko Datokrum, the Japanese lady, play till over 40. Venus Williams is approaching 40 as well, and she's still playing. No sign of retirement. Serena is 37, going to 38. So I don't think he doesn't have what it takes to play until 40. He's 33. Just celebrated his 33rd birthday a few days ago.
So you're looking at 7 years ahead.
It's possible. Okay. It's possible. If Roger Federer is still doing it at this level, all he needs to do is to choose his tournaments. You don't go into every other tournament. You go for the big ones and try to pull out from the ones that you think you don't have a competitive advantage over the other players, as it were. The man's mentality has never been in question at all.
Okay.
He is the most mentally strong player out there
among the three.
Amongst every other tennis player you can even think of, because he most times he wins those matches with his sheer mental strength. As a matter of fact, when it comes down to the fine margins, his mental strength helps him prevail against the big boys, and when they're in such a long battles. I saw him play Nadal for 5 hours and 53 minutes in the Australian Open in 2012, the final. I mean, nobody does that, but he was still able to dig deep and prevail on that occasion. We saw his battle with Roger Federer in the Wimbledon last year, over 4 hours, one of the classics in terms of Grand Slam finals. So his mental strength is not in question at all. I'm looking at the retired with 286, how many? 1 month, right? By this time 1 month, we're talking about him being number 2. Then add another 35 weeks, he's number one. As a matter of fact, he overtakes Roger Federer. That's the number of weeks spent as number one. Now, for Grand Slams, we're looking, and it doesn't look like Roger Federer will become number 1 again. Let's face it. You understand? He's been away from number 1 for over 4 years or so. He will just be in the top 10, top 5, top maybe. 3. But no, he's not even in the top 3 now in terms of rankings, because Dominic Thiem is number 3 in the world right now. Roger Federer is number 4. So at the end of the day, it doesn't look like Roger Federer is interested in becoming number 1 again. His body will not even help him do so, because what it means, he will play many tournaments, get enough ranking points, and defend those tournaments subsequently the next year, so that he'll be able to retain those points as well. Something he cannot be doing right now because of his age. Because we know this man, he pulls out of a lot of tournaments because he wants to save his latter stages and all that. So I will rule Roger Federer out of it in terms of even number 1 again. So he will not add to that. That's my projection. All right. Now the number 2 man there is retired already, Pete Sampras, the legend, with 14 Grand Slam titles. So I will still stick with Novak Djokovic. He has what it takes to do so. Nadal is not in the top 5, as a matter of fact. Rafael Nadal. So Nadal, with his inconsistency, injury, and what have you, I don't think he will be the one to retire as the man with the longest stay as world number 1, longest number of weeks as world number. He will hold the record
for the longest.
Yes, for the longest as world number 1. Now, for Grand Slam titles, we have seen this man win 3 Grand Slams in 1 year, in just 1 calendar year. We have seen him hold all the 4 Grand Slams in the past, surpass it. He's 2 behind Rafael this year, most likely, if it will eventually happen. US Open. There's also the French Open to come after the US Open. Remember, they put in the past there. We know that but that would be an opportunity if Nadal doesn't play for the Australia Open. He does 18. Okay, US Open. If he holds this year, there are chances that he will. Last time Roger Federer won a Grand Slam, he will come close against Nadal, against Djokovic, against any of these youngsters. No, he will be beaten. You understand? He has passed his prime. Let's be realistic.
These are the lines.
Masters,
Tiger Woods.
Yeah, it's a Grand Slam. Yeah.
Okay.
So he managed to win the match.
Looking at Roger Federer in that bracket.
Well, the thing about golf and tennis, they're different, Yeah. Golf is an individual game, It's down to your ability and your precision and what have you. Okay. It's not like you're playing against this man directly, so to say.
Yeah.
You go there, play 18 holes. This man is also going to play with 18 holes. Yeah. So what do you do in your own 18 holes? It's down basically to your ability. Yeah. Now, in tennis, it's not only down to your ability. It's also, you can, it's to be unfair to judge the two sports in that manner. Right. But having said that, I'm not at this age. It will be a miracle. He will probably, Serena Williams, 4 finals already. We're beaten by Novak Djokovic, after even enjoying the 2 sets advantage and what have you. So having said that, I think slams and number of weeks spent as number one as well. Yes.
Okay, Emeka has taken a side already on the.
Well, no, I think he's even doing his best already, staying where he is, managing to get to those quarterfinals and semi-finals, or even finals now. Really, I think he's already doing more than enough. And when people call and say, "Oh, I support Federer to win it," I just know his sentiments. I think the man is doing well enough. As per winning it, as the maker said, for me it would actually be a surprise if Federer wins another title.
So you don't think he will?
I think inside the man, he might just want to bow out on a high.
Okay.
And of course, to do that, he might need to taste another Grand Slam title, then maybe just say goodbye.
So do you see him doing that anytime soon?
Anything is possible in sports for a man who is not 60 years old. It's definitely possible.
From your own perspective,
you want me to take a side?
Yeah, okay. I need you to take a side.
If you ask me to put my money, I will not put my money on Roger Federer to win a Grand Slam title.
Okay. Now on the issue of who's going to be the tennis player with the highest number of Grand Slams, as well as week spent or duration spent as number one. Do you want to stick to Novak Djokovic, or you want to differ?
As per Grand Slams, I know
it's just somewhere.
3. I know it's just 3. Maybe he needs to win 4 rather to just make him the highest.
Yeah.
And I know it's not too difficult, but a lot of things could happen. So I would not really actually say Novak Djokovic would become the highest winner of
So
Grand
who do you
Slams.
think will be?
maybe in time. It depends on when because a young boy can come up tomorrow and within 20 years could actually change a lot of things. But for now, it remains Federer. Time will tell if Novak Djokovic will be able to do it, and a lot of things, as I said, could happen in 1 or 2 years.
From the mixed martial arts, we move down to Conor McGregor has declared himself as the second greatest mixed martial fighter of all time behind Anderson Silva. All right. He says, and I quote, "The array of finishes across 2 divisions with champion status in 1, Anderson Silva is number 1 MMA GOAT. That is greatest of all time." All right. He continued, "My array of finishes across 3 divisions with champion status in 2, I'm number 2, if not tied 1. However, I'm still active. Number 1 is fully secured by career end and easily." All right. And he also said that he didn't want to add issue of drugs and the likes. Let me continue the quote. He said, "I didn't mention PED, that is performance enhancing drugs, results on multiple entrants, even though that complete doubt I've snort multiple juice heads. A true goat must do it." End of quote. Emeka, do you agree? Conor McGregor, greatest number 2 of all time in the mixed martial arts. That's what I'm asking
basically.
You now.
Yeah, I don't think he has achieved to the level himself as number 2 in the sport. No, I don't think so. I'm looking at the ranking done by Tapology.com, of the all-time greatest mixed martial arts artists. Where even the man he mentioned, Anderson Silva, is number 3 in that ranking. As a matter of fact,
okay.
And himself is somewhere number 12. To tell you, that he's nowhere to be found yet. He should go into so many battles and win lots of titles. Yes, he's been lucky to win titles in I think 3 divisions, 3 different weight classes or so. With his latest last victory a few months ago. But that being said, that doesn't make him destroyed him. Sometime 2 years ago or so. Habib Nurmagomedov ahead of him, way ahead of him. We've had so many great fighters in the past. Demetrius Johnson, the one nicknamed the Mighty Mouse, is also one fighter you have to also reckon with. Not forgetting George Pierre.
And the show remains today's Sports Live, reaching you from just premium news talk and sport radio station right here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt, Today95.1 FM.
Company for property business. You no need to worry yourself again on how to get land with Naira. You go still get your deed of conveyance and survey plan and all documentation within 1 week, and you no go pay any extra money for bush entry or agency fee or any other hidden charges. Rush now and pick our free interest form and join the next inspection. Call Amarachi on 7062641169 or visit our office at Odibola House, Iyenweli Miserim Layout, Tombia Extension, GRA Port Harcourt, or go to our website www.odibolaproperties.com.
Let's go, check it out. Let's go, check it out.
Sports Life remains the show on the radio that remain today 9:05. The classical gentleman. My name is Reliable Reliance Udonyan, and I've got to make a dinner right here, the Odogu one of sports, and of course, Wisdom will be nice, Superman in the world of sports. You cannot let football for snowball, and together we are dishing out the major stories coming up from the world of sport, as it is our tradition on a Sunday like this, kick-starting things from the non-football segment of life, and then much later we will dive into the football segment of the discussion. We've talked about tennis. You can air your contribution, not necessarily air now. You can send them in as WhatsApp and SMSs 070193396962. Do you think Roger Federer is going to win a Grand Slam anytime soon? I'm pretty certain that in this part of the world there are many of Roger Federer's fans. So you could tell us what you think from what the man has been doing. Australian Open, he got to the semis only to be knocked out by the Greece sensation. Talking about Stefano Tsitsipas. And then a couple of Grand Slams like that, have gotten to the latter stages, but unfortunately knocked out. So do you think the man is still going to win a Grand Slam? And 3 Grand Slams added to our name. She just shy of one anytime soon, probably next year, because 9339962 on Twitter, Maker at Maker Dena. Wisdom's handle is at Wisdom on the self as the number 2 all time. He used the word GOAT, greatest of all time, and the man is Conor McGregor. Emeka, you were giving us your thoughts on the man. At first, you believe doesn't even rank up to number 5.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very multi person. We know that, you know. Even though a lot of times he also matches words with action in mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
The answer of Khabib in a few years back, he has also been equally popular. You know, a lot of people praised him for that, myself inclusive. Proper. I don't think he's anywhere near the top 3. Not even the top, being number 2 in the world. I think he has a lot to still achieve in this sport. I think it should be when you have even stopped fighting, so to say. You know, not when you're still active. Yeah. You know, when there are still other active fighters. It's when the chips are down. You cannot talk about the greatest and you'll be bringing in someone like Tyson Fury in the equation. He's still fighting. You know, bringing in Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua in boxing. They're still fighting. You understand? It's when they retire. You now be talking of Muhammad Ali, Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, George Foreman. These guys who are no long. You know, you now look back at what they're able to achieve to dub them the greatest. When you're still fighting, chances that tomorrow someone will beat you. It dents your record, sort of. You know, tomorrow you win someone, you add to your record and all that. So let's wait until you're done before we even look at the all-time greatest. All-time, this man is still fighting. You understand? We saw what Khabib did to him. So where is he rating Khabib? Himself above Khabib, the man that almost killed him. You know.
Now, here is you, Emeka, looking at him still being active in the sport as should I say, a factor that he should consider before ranking himself. But he feels that should be to his own advantage. He said, I'm number 2, if not tied 1. However, I am still active. Number 1 is fully secured by career end and easily. So he thinks the fact that he's still active gives him the age, the added advantage to even, be ranked number 1. But from your analysis, you felt he should have done this when he's done with the sport.
And the ranking is not even supposed to come from him.
Okay.
The ranking is not supposed to come from him.
Right.
There are several bodies out there who do rankings, you understand? You know, for different, although for mixed martial arts, they are basically controlled by UFC, you know. Yeah. Yes, that's the most. Other independent bodies, you know. I mean, we see in boxing, you have the Ring Magazine, you have WBO, number 2, number 3, number 4, till, down bodies saying about you.
UFC,
not
this
you
time.
Coming out to tell us that you think you're number 2 because you finished this.
Don't you think Emeka gave us a ranking from Emeka? What's the name of that site again?
Tapology.
Tapology. Yeah. That doesn't Conor McGregor has done in the UFC so far. Many, Emeka talked about his crossover battle with the money man Mayweather that gave him that popularity. Now, don't you think with everything here?
Well, not exactly Reliance. If you look at sports generally, and you look at those that are termed greatest, most times I have narrowed it down to 2 things: your records and the way you carried your career out. It's not just about going to play football. Everybody has been scoring goals, but there's a way Ronaldo and the others score the goals.
Exactly.
Everybody has been boxing, but there's a way Muhammad Ali talks about is doing it. his first world heavyweight belt. He said he was going to beat the man in 5. I traveled out of the US now to the UK to do that. And in 5, the 5th round, the man retired. So I think if you look at, ask somebody, do you know anybody in the UFC? And they will just tell you Conor. So I think greatness in that aspect, he actually has it because of his mouth, and not just his mouth, his actions. Conor McGregor was underrated. Most people might not know this story, but Conor is very lanky, and growing up and all that, he was also a Northern Irishman, not the best of places for a UFC fighter or even a boxer to come out from. But he was able to push himself most of the times when the man gets to the ring, and that's why if you positively, because most times he's underrated and he comes in and shocks everybody. Against Khabib, I'm sure nobody was underrating him again. Maybe that's why he lost. So if you look at it entirely, Reliance, you definitely would know that he has put UFC in the limelight world, and maybe other countries where UFC as a division, as a fighting body was not as popular. So I think Conor has done a lot of service to the UFC. But if you look at the records, Conor is nowhere. He is nowhere around the best of the best in the sport.
22 wins and 4 losses.
Khabib himself has got 28 wins and no losses in the process. You can't even if you can't measure up with Khabib, how do you not measure up against Anderson Silva, a man who has had the longest reign as a champion? You know, how do you measure yourself against the likes of Kevin St. Pierre, who has second longest reign in, and has also won belts in multiple divisions, and also had, some of them have had Anderson highest number of defense, St. Pierre himself 9, second highest number of defense in terms of defending your title and all that. Khabib is nowhere around these guys. There's a certain man, I actually used to see him, early days when I started following the UFC, Fedor Emelianenko, the last emperor. Yes, I think he's either a Russian or Ukrainian. That man was something else. You watch his fights and you're almost certain that the person is coming up, that's if he's not losing. The person is coming up against is going to bleed. His knockout was something. Leave Conor. Conor is not even in the list. Ahead of Anderson Silva, Emelianenko, Demetrius Johnson, before even John Jones, that even joined them just 2 or 3 years ago. But of course, where he's coming from, the other divisions, he has been also brilliant. So I think for me, Conor is just hyping himself as he always does. Relax, right? I think it's his dream. It's his dream to be become the greatest of all time. And to actually achieve that, just as he always talks and tries to follow those words with action. And I tell you, outside Khabib's fight, you can tell yourself that most of them, not all, most of those times he comes out to say, I'm going to do it, even if you don't think I can, he ends up surprising every one of us. So maybe that's what he's just trying to do.
Emeka, in boxing, Anthony Joshua says he will appreciate
the man tries to raise money for coronavirus, need to even partner him in that one by sharing the ring once again with him. We know how those two men thrilled the world, when their heydays in the 90s. Iron Mike, brilliant as he was in his heydays, will not come back today and beat Anthony Joshua. He will not even try to come near Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder, any of these big guys now. No, he will not do that. It's just to raise money for the coronavirus workers.
You've heard the words of Emeka. Iron Mike Tyson cannot even come back and think of fighting Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder at Tyson Fury. I know there are many of you out there that doesn't really agree. I know there are many of you.
They can't argue this one.
I know there are many of you that think Iron can still knock them out.
No way.
All right. So if you think so, 0817-0000951. 0810-951-0951 is the number for you to call in. Do not forget, earlier on we talked about tennis, where I asked a question: do the longest, the longest time to spend as a world number one, as well as win the greatest number of Federer. First caller on the show, 95.1 today. Your friend, we're struggling to hear you, so do well to call us back. Okay, we're really struggling to hear you. Let's talk to this other caller. 95.1 today Sports Live.
I'm Pastor John, I'm from Port here.
Go ahead, John.
Emeka and do not say this all. It is an exhibition match. You don't expect somebody at that age to come and fight a fight that will
to compete, yeah.
So he has fight his prime. So he's coming as a promoter.
Okay.
So that's my take.
Appreciate it, John. Thank you. Now go ahead, man.
I said Tyson will be killed. if Phil is coming to reach.
No, don't go there.
No. See, I think Emeka, correct me, please. He has some issues with Wider. I think he's not a fan of Wider, right?
Yeah, he's not a big fan of Wider. Yeah.
I'm just imagining Wider and Tyson.
No, it will not happen. Don't even imagine it, please.
For me, like we have seen the best of Tyson. He can come back for charity, but no. That would be
devastating.
Tyson is finished. First one, big time, but it's finished.
Okay.
It's finished. Like, I think he's just doing it. It's fine. But generally speaking, Grand Slam, I think it's time for the younger guys. I'm just having that feeling that whatever has happened this period, I've given them the opportunity to go closer to this. It's possible. I always feel Djokovic is one of the greatest. Just that we know Federer for God knows how long. But I think Djokovic can surpass Federer any day, anytime. That's my man for now. But for the two big guys, Serena, right for that, for goodness sake, I think she has tried 4 finals. That's the best she can do for me.
So she's not going to equal Margaret Court's record. That's what you think, Chuku? All right.
It's 100 to 1. She had I can't put my money high.
All right. I appreciate your calling in, Chuku. I appreciate the contribution. Let's stop to this call at 95.1 to Sports Live.
Yes. I bring you greetings from Oras.
No, you're not from Oras. You're not from Oras, Tell us where you're calling from,
Obinna, where have you been and where are you?
Yes, I've been around my brother, I miss everybody. They will always tell you that every evening I tell them that my day is not complete at all. Sometimes I try to see where I can borrow any phone with small rate. Because the last, has even touched a rack, see that time till now, and you're in your house and they're accumulating debt for you. No. We cannot talk about any coronavirus, any achievement that anybody goes from the coronavirus without counting the days. Staying in his house and accumulating days to come to world number 1, I don't think it is fair.
All right,
today is Sunday. As a born-again Christian, I am against it.
You don't come. All right, Obinna, we've gotten your point. You've gotten your point. Thank you very much for dropping by on the show this afternoon. But
coronavirus pandemic, which I also know is if you are number 1 now, for instance, if you win a title this year, the next year you're defending the ranking points. If you don't get to the point where you got the previous year, you will lose ranking points.
Drop, yeah.
Even if you win the Grand Slam this year, next year, if you lose the final of the Grand Slam, you will drop in your points. Your points will be reduced because you defend your points by gaining. You gain your points by even defending them as we are the subsequent year. So it's unfair. But come on, it is what it is. It's no fault of Djokovic, and you can't take it away from him.
Wisdom, don't you think that ranking, the man remains number 1, but in terms of that duration, don't you think it should be paused? Every other tennis players are on compulsory unwanted holiday. So don't you think that the duration of who stays as world number 1 should have been paused from when the next ATP tournament or WTA for the women was suspended?
No, I'll give you an example. I mentioned when we're talking about the UFC, I mentioned count days most times and times in terms of how long you stay, and nobody actually planned for what is going on. So you can't say, okay, we'll pause the days. No, we are still alive. As long as you hold your WTA or whatever title or Grand Slam, that's a different thing. Maybe I won it this year, I defended it the next year. I am a back-to-back champion. That's different. But
for instance, in football, FIFA will give you their rankings on monthly basis. Whether you play or not, they will still rank you. Isn't it the case? Sometimes you even drop in the rankings, even without playing. For 2 months, you're not played. They are still publishing the rankings every other month. So it's like that. It's the highest number of time as number 1 in the rank.
Jerry,
go ahead.
Thank you. Not just because I'm a fan of Djokovic, actually, but about 2 years ago, same program came up, and I said that I see Djokovic. Yes, that I see Djokovic becoming probably the greatest. Although he may not even win the Grand Slam more than the other person, and that person may win more than the other person. Doesn't necessarily attack and make him the greatest. But the way I see his potential, because he has this resilience, and he has a championship, and he has this champion instinct. He has everything, and I think his game is very, very great.
All right.
Again, concerning Serena, one thing about Serena is that Serena is competing against herself. Nobody is coming from behind. The other person above is static. It's not adding more titles for another title. So she's competing against herself with herself. So I still think that she can win that. She can gain 2 Grand Slam.
All right.
And the potential is very much there.
All right. We appreciate your contribution on the show, Jerry
Reliance,
from Alo.
quickly, just to add, when people say, I think there was a caller that said Serena Williams is over, as in whatever her career is over and all that stuff.
That should be Choco.
Maybe even Roger Federer.
Yeah, that's Choco.
I really beg to disagree, because you don't tell me a man's career is over when the man is getting to the semi-final. A woman is getting consistently 3-4 Grand Slams. She gets to 3 or 4 finals, and you tell me he's no longer working. So if she continues trying and first round, second round, after some time, nobody would tell her. But if you keep making it to the final, semi-final, it will be hard to convince such a person that they don't have what it takes to cut. Because it's not about winning it most times. If you're not in the best 2, best 3, as long as you make the best 4, I mean, you're good. Stefanos Tsitsipas, we call his name every other time. Has he won a Grand Slam? No. Dominic Thiem, have they won anything?
So
no,
you're
but
telling
they
us
managed to always make it to the
Serena
latter part
Williams
of the competition.
will eventually win another Grand Slam.
No. I only said if you say her career.
No, if her career is not winding down, then she's a potential to win a Grand Slam.
No, she definitely has what it takes. If you make it to the final, you have what it takes to win.
So which one did you say no?
No. If what I was talking about was let her pack her bags now and leave. And winning the Grand Slam is another argument.
But you couldn't say she should pack her bags.
Chuku said that he thinks it's over for Roger Federer and Serena Williams.
All right, ma. Bundesliga games ongoing. First fixture earlier today decided Schalke 04 were defeated again 3-0 away from home by Augsburg. Let me see if I can get the goal scorers for that particular one. The game between Schalke 04 and Augsburg. Okay, the first goal was scored by Edouard Lowen, and the second goal scored by Nwajo Saransen Bazi and Sergio Cordova. Okay, many persons should know him. Finished it at the 90th minute for Augsburg. Then currently ongoing at the 69th minute, Mainz 05 are currently losing at home, Emeka, 4-0 by Rosenborg Leipzig. 4-0. Goal scorers for RB Leipzig, we have Timo Werner, we have Yusuf Poulsen, we have Marcel Sabitzer, and then Timo Werner with a brace already. Emeka?
Let me even start with the earlier results you mentioned there. Augsburg winning 3-0 away from home. Our own Noel Bazzi, remember, he's been called up several times by Raw to the Super Eagles. Noel Bazzi on the score sheet there for the Augsburg side, who won 3-0 away from home against Schalke 04. Schalke 04 very poor already since the resumption of the league.
Yeah,
2 back-to-back defeats now. I mean, big defeats. Having said that, we have seen 7. He's produced 4 goals already, all to the away side. Right. Third on the log in the back in the Champions League position. By this time yesterday, they were outside that position, as a matter of fact. So we keep saying it. The beauty about the Bundesliga, the one involving Bayern Munich, 3 away wins. Today we have seen 2 matches already, even though one is not completed yet. But you can't argue the fact that RB Leipzig will win away from home today, and it's 2-2 already. So having said that, I think it's really brilliant the way this German team score goals, irrespective of where they are playing. They keep getting the goals in large numbers.
All right, they keep getting the goals in large numbers. The words of Emeka right there talking about the German Bundesliga. They were much lost at home to Werder Bremen, 1-0. Paderborn drew 1-1 with Hoffenheim, and then Wolfsburg were defeated by Borussia Dortmund 2-0, and Bayern Munich were runaway winners 5-2. They spanked Eintracht Frankfurt, and we are still keeping our eyes on the match involving Mainz 05 and Rosenborg Leipzig, and later to come today will be the match involving FC Cologne and Fortuna Düsseldorf.
Let's go. Check out all. Breathe in slow, let it out again. Breathe in slow, let it out again. Breathe in slow, let it out again. Let it out again. I wanna take you away.
All right, the show remains Today Sports Live, reaching you from the frequency Today95.1 FM right here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. We're going to take another commercial break, but certainly we shall be back. Do not touch that dial.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It promises to be a beautiful day here in the studio. And of course, we have a guest, a wonderful guest in the studio who will be telling us a whole lot about working online. Of course, he has this wonderful business to introduce to us today. So I have Mr. Lucky in the studio today. Mr. Lucky, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
So Mr. Lucky is a work-from-home business developer, and he will be telling us more about this business today. So, Mr. Lucky, you have this new business you want to introduce to us called Work From Home Business. That is WFH. We want to know what this business is all about.
Thank you so much. WFH stands for Work From Home. Working from home with your internet-enabled devices like mobile phones and computers have become our new reality globally today due to rapid global changes. Now, one of such changes that have forever changed the world today is the global pandemic called coronavirus. Countries are on a standstill right now, and global lockdown has become the new world order. And the resultant effect of all this is huge job losses, hunger in the land, poverty, and other attendant economic consequences. So that's why it is imperative for people begin to think out of the box and begin to find other sources through which they can earn money. So while you're staying at home, you can still make huge amount of money from the comfort of your home using your mobile phone, using your internet devices, creating employment for yourself from the comfort of your home. That's what the concept of work from home is. Thank you.
Okay, so talking about working from home, you talked about work online. You know, you're going to put people through working online. So what do you do if you are not a computer literate?
Well, thank you very much for that wonderful question. First of all, I want my listeners to know that your earning is tied to your learning. It is very simple. It is very easy, whether you are literate or illiterate, whether you know how to read or you don't know how to read. It's irrelevant. We are going to give you a hands-on training on how you're going to do this business. You join us online and we teach you how to do all this. It's very simple. We present to you a business called Syri Mall and another business called freefoodsforall.com business, and other line of businesses and jobs that you can do from the comfort of your home and still make money while staying safe in this period of coronavirus. And for the Syri Mall business concept is a simple concept where you register with the Syri Mall online platform, you buy a product and the company sells it for you on the 10th day, and on the 11th day they pay huge profit into your bank account. It's that simple. The company does all the work for you. While for the free food for all business concept, the worth of the food sector in Nigeria alone is worth over 1.2 trillion naira. So there's so much money to be made in the food industry, and that's why the free foods for all.com business concept makes it very easy for everybody to be able to go into the food stuff buying and selling business. Thank you.
This is becoming interesting, Mr. Lucky. So I want to ask you, who and who are eligible to join your work from home online business class, and how can someone join? We want to know.
Well, thank you very much. Every single individual who wants to create multiple stream of income, every single individual who have dreams and who wants to be financial free is eligible to join this work from home business that we have to offer. It's for the doctors, market women, unemployed, the employed, the students, everybody, irrespective of your educational standard. As long as you have financial needs to meet, then this work from home business concept is for you. Having said that, you need to be able to have multiple streams of income. And now, like we said, sit at home has become the new world order. So we want to ensure that while you're sitting at home, you will be able to make money.
So Mr. Lucky, I'm going to be asking you the final question for today, because I know that so many people will be wanting to know how to reach you, how to get your contacts and all that. Do you have any contact address people can reach you with?
Thank you very much. Our contact address, it's Suite 219 Eugene Shopping Plaza, 14 Woji Road, and our phone number is 081 8068989752.
All right, thank you so much, Lucky. This is where we begin to draw the curtain for today. The numbers again before we just do our conclusions.
To be part of this online training, text or WhatsApp the word yes to this number 081 806 89752.
Thank you so much for being part of us. Work from home online business ventures today. Thank you so much, Lucky, for making our time to be here.
It's my pleasure.
See you again next time and have a nice day.
Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1. Never been this good. Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Always listen to.
Because they've scored 4 goals already. Timo Werner with the brace already, and in the match involving RB Leipzig and Mainz 05. Our own Taiwo Awoni, unfortunately, wouldn't really have a good day today. Later to come.
It's 5 now in that encounter.
Oh, goal scorer for that particular
Timo
one.
Werner is a hat-trick for
Hat-trick for them. Maybe the German Bundesliga matches played yesterday. Any surprising reason?
I mean, let me start from what is. I felt those teams were around the same level, but right now they've actually thought that one end in a draw, a shocking win. Then yesterday we had a lot of games. Reliance. If you start from the first game down to the last one, you definitely tell yourself that it went as planned. Borussia Dortmund whipped Wolfsburg. Bayern Munich whipped Eintracht Frankfurt, and the battle where I felt the battle would actually be taking place right there in the Borussia Park between Mönchengladbach and Bayer Leverkusen. That's the only place where you see some people went in favor of Mönchengladbach, some others were in favor of Bayer Leverkusen. 3-1 it ended in favor of Bayer Leverkusen. But outside that, I think the other games were I expected that Freiburg and Werder Bremen, two teams that are struggling with their lives right, not in their hands exactly. Albeit Freiburg are up, not at all. They're not in the same level. Freiburg are far ahead of Werder Bremen. If you look at the rankings and all that, the position, the points they've gathered. But then again, the Werder Bremen side also battling deep down in relegation. I think that should be the biggest shocker for people who follow the Bundesliga, because if you actually have not followed Bundesliga for some time, Werder Bremen used to be a very good side. You just tend to believe it's expected, because Freiburg, most times they're always fried. At the end of the day, they end up struggling for their lives, maybe the final day of the season. But this season has been different for them. They've actually scaled up far ahead. But Werder Bremen beating them yesterday, I think that should be a surprise. The bookmakers, for those who play the betting and whatever, I'm sure they didn't give it to Werder Bremen to actually do that one. And it was away. Werder Bremen were the away side, and they ended up beating Freiburg 1-0. But outside that particular game, Paderborn Hoffenheim, I was not expecting anything. 1-1 it ended between the two sides. I mean,
12:30 kickoff encounter. They have the quality to give more than that kind of result, especially when they are playing at home. If you lose to Bayern Munich or Borussia Dortmund in that manner, it's understandable. No, not when you're playing at home, you're losing in such an emphatic manner to a side like Augsburg. I think that's the biggest surprise for me over the weekend.
All right,
and of course, another surprising fixture, the Champions League battle between Bayer Leverkusen and the Borussia Mönchengladbach. Mönchengladbach, who started very well this season, they are now outside the Champions League positions right there in Germany, following yesterday's embarrassing 3-1 loss to Bayer Leverkusen at home. I think it's another surprise result for me. Yes, you want to home in Germany.
Wisdom, it doesn't look like it's a 2-horse race for the trophy, for the German Bundesliga title between Bayern Munich and Dortmund. We have Rasenballsport Leipzig as the number 3rd position with their ongoing scoreline. At the 3rd position, 54 points have gathered, and look at the differences between themselves and Borussia Dortmund, and then even the Bayern Munich leading 4 points right there ahead of Borussia Dortmund. Doesn't look like it's going to be a 2-horse battle. Probably the likes of Bayer Leverkusen could even come in to give a fight.
Well, mathematically, Reliance, that's spot on. You look at the number of points separating all the teams in the top 4, and you tend to believe that any of those teams, including the 5th place team now, Mönchengladbach, who have got 52 points, they still have a mathematical chance to actually get themselves to the trophy. 61 points, the leaders Bayern Munich have gathered, including these last 3 points. Now, you want to measure that with 52, and it's just around 9
points difference,
separating Bayern Munich and the 5th placed team. Let's forget Wolfsburg and the other guys.
Those are out 39
those
points.
Ones are not. Those ones should even be thinking of relegation and what have you. But if you look at the top 5 teams, yes, they do have a mathematical chance. The question is, which of these teams do have what it takes to actually take the bull by the horn and probably challenge the Lions of the tribe of Germany, Bayern Munich, maybe till the very end of the season. I think if you look at those teams, you still end up picking the same people or the same set of people that have actually caused some what you say quakes for Bayern Munich in the past few seasons. Who are these guys? Borussia Dortmund, the yellow and black guys, and of course maybe RB Leipzig now. Looking at their performance, looking at the quality of the players, if you want to ask yourself which of these teams can make a good run for their money or probably even shock them at the end of the day. I mean, you don't go further than maybe Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig. I don't think Bayer Leverkusen and Borussia Mönchengladbach do have what it takes to actually push Bayern Munich off the top and even stay there. But everything still depends on Bayern Munich. We were saying this earlier on in the season when Bayern they were struggling in the league and were thriving in the Champions League and and all that. Mixed fortunes it was for them when the season started. Some people actually agreed to the fact that when they were ready for the league, they would actually topple the league. And once again, it will be only Bayern Munich that can stop Bayern Munich. I think I'm still going to toe that line. Only if they decide to fall or slip off the ropes. I think they are going to actually coast home till the end of the season as league leaders and even end up as champions. But if they decide to make any mistake or any bleep of any kind, any players have not even decided to start scoring. So if Lewandowski doesn't score today, Bayern Munich depend on one player. What happens to Bayern Munich? You tell yourself that Bayern Munich. Jadon Sancho wasn't present in the game yesterday. It's another team I feel, yes, they do have some quality, but do they have experience? No. So that quality could actually just carry them through some games, but when it comes to experience, that is lacking. I think Sancho, I was trying to confirm, some people said it's because of the transfer issues. Some reports said he was not fit, but I'm sure the coach will come out to clarify that one. Sancho was not part of the game yesterday, but they do have some other decent players, but they are just a bunch of talents without too many experience.
Okay, bunch of talents without too many experience. Words of wisdom about Borussia Dortmund. I want to believe that you might want to differ. So if you do differ, SMS on WhatsApp portal right there for you, 0701933962. On Twitter, we are at TodayFM951. At TodayFM951. You can copy me at Reliable Rely. You can copy Emeka at Emeka. Then at Wisdom's handle is at Wisdom_OB. We are not taking calls right now. Much later, just a few minutes from now, we'll throw the phone lines open for you to pay your contribution. In the meantime, let's talk developments coming in from the English Premier League, because former Chelsea and German legend Michael Ballack have said in a statement that he doesn't see Liverpool defender Virgil van Dijk as the best to compare to former Chelsea legends John Terry of Michael Ballack. Those of you that believe that Virgil van Dijk is everything defensive wise, Van Dijk is very lucky to play in an era where there is no Drogba. No wonder they think he is the best defender in the league. Emeka, this is someone that was ranked among the best three just recently. I think in both the Ballon d'Or and the FIFA the best, was ranked among the best three. And this man is saying he's lucky to play in an era where there is no Drogba, Lampard, Alan Shearer, Thierry Henry, Rooney, Van Persie, Carlos Tevez, Emmanuel Adebayo, and Diego Costa in the Premier League. That's why people believe he's the best defender in the league. Do you agree with Michael Ballack?
No, for now, I think his Ballack's comment is coming after a similar comment credited to former Manchester City captain Vincent Kompany, who rated Virgil van Dijk as the greatest defender of all time in the Premier League history. I think that's where this is coming from. You understand? Because a few weeks ago, we were also discussing what Kompany said about the brilliance of
Virgil van Dijk.
Van Dijk being the best ever defender in the Premier League. Yeah. A lot of people said, no, he doesn't. That accolade is not. He's not yet right for that accolade and all that. Now Ballack is saying
he's lucky.
He's lucky
that these guys are not there.
It's not his fault too. That we don't have great strikers. Even though in his time now, there's a certain Sergio Aguero. You can't take anything away from the man.
We'll get there.
Whatever you mention about Alan Shearer and Drogba, Aguero did something close or even more than some of these guys in question. And he has played against someone like Aguero in terms of the strikers out there in the Premier League. That being said, Van Dijk will not go and bring great strikers back to come and compete with him.
You've seen Van Dijk play.
As it stands right now, he's the best defender in the Premier League.
Yeah, now you've seen him play, Mecca. You've seen him play. you've seen the players now he mentioned. You've seen them play as well. You know their style of play and everything. The records are there, and you've watched them, firsthand. Let's assume Van Dijk was in that era. Do you think he would have still been rated at the level? Because that's where Michael Ballack is coming from. Do you think he will still be rated at the level he is rated now, Virgil van Dijk?
That commands so much authority in the team. His presence, his huge presence alone, his ability to tackle, his ability to intercept, his ability to even withstand opposition. I mean, it's difficult to even dribble past him as a matter of fact. So and playing for a big club like Liverpool as well, he would have been up there too, if not even above those guys in question there. He has all the qualities of a great player. You did mention that he finished second behind Lionel Messi in the Ballon d'Or and FIFA the Best awards and what have you. His club won the Champions League. He was a key figure in that league, won the World Cup.
Sitting on the bench.
Sitting on the bench. No, he was not that kind of player. He was a player that virtually played all the key matches for his team in that season, and put up high level performance and was very, very consistent in terms of the best defenders in the Premier League. He's not yet the greatest of all time because he's still playing. You understand? Tomorrow, what if he start dwindling tomorrow? We will now begin to talk down on his capability and what have you. So wait, but for now, he's the best defender in the Premier League. I don't think that should even be argued there. But if he had played in the time of John Terry,
he was
a great defender. He would also be a great defender. Nemanja Matic, Shiro Ferdinand, Tony Adams of Arsenal. I mean, one club man, played all through there, so he would have still been able to hold his own because look at the kind of performance this man puts in. He plays and you don't even see his centre-back pairing doing anything again. It's all about this man. And he contributes with some crucial goals too. When those corner kicks will come in, he will always go forward. Yeah, exactly. Now, take this or leave it. In a few years, he'll be named Liverpool captain if he remains at the club. That's how important he could be at the club. Jordan Henderson will one day go down the pecking order, and at the end of the day, I think this man deserves to even be named the captain of the team because he can single-handedly carry the team on his shoulder from the back. You understand? Now we know what the likes of Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane are doing up front. Whatever they are doing up front, this man is also making sure they are not conceding much goals behind, and he's working out well for him. I mean, he's there, and the goalkeeper doesn't do much. You don't often see the goalkeeper because he provides a very wonderful shade for the goalkeeper. So I think he would have been able to hold his own, rank amongst the highest defenders in the league. In the league at the time when you even had those great strikers like Alan Shearer, like
Thierry
Henry, and the cool of Manchester United, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and what have you. You would have held his own. I mean, it would have been very brilliant to see that man play with these guys. Honestly,
waiting for Liverpool. All right, Wisdom. Would you say that this is an indictment? I don't know whether that word it's very appropriate to use at that point, but I'm still going to use it anyways. But is it an indictment on the current set of strikers we have in the league? Is Michael Ballack telling us that they don't measure up? They are not prolific as the likes of Didier Drogba and Antonio Conte. So
from that class,
no. He's an active striker in the league. So we'll put him in the bracket. All right. You mentioned Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. You mentioned
insults to them.
Lacazette. Who again do I? Maybe Mo Salah.
Yeah, Mo Salah should be there.
He should be there.
The record goal scorer
so
now.
Are we saying, or is Ballack saying, or is there an implication that the current set of strikers are horrific as what was obtainable in this era he mentioned?
Well, when I first got to hear when I heard this Ballack's comment, I felt yes, he had a point. But his statement is like saying all the people he called, none of them even won World Best Award. His statement is like saying
English-based players don't usually win.
Frank Lampard.
Apart from Ronaldo.
Frank Lampard got to.
Whose fault that they are not
rank among the number 3?
It means
among
the
the
league
best
is
3.
not. Anyway, that's an argument for another day. The English league and the hype. Now, Roberto Carlos, Cafu, even Mauro Ramos, even Carlos Puyol too at some point, Alexandre Nesta and the others too. It's like putting out that statement. Maybe Messi and Ronaldo should also go for Thanksgiving for not also playing against some of. I think for me it's he has a point. Emeka just said something, and I'll just pick that. Very true. Greatest of all time, to call Virgil van Dijk greatest of all time might still be an insult now, because there are people who have paid their dues.
So let's stick to it. Let's
But
stick with the current set of strikers we have.
I think this current set of strikers
are they
we
as
have
firing
in the
enough
Premier League
as this ones?
First, how many years is he using to judge? Because some of these names he mentioned played across 30 years and 20-something years. Alan Shearer did not era with Diego Costa.
Yeah.
So, what's his span of measurements? Because if you're saying currently now, are you talking about this season? It will be an unfair comparison if you ask
It's more
me.
like a generation or an era.
No, there was an era when Drogba was the man. There was an era when season when Thierry Henry was the man. There was a season when Rooney was the man. A season when Van Persie was the man. Yes, some of them, of course, played through some seasons, but 1 or 2 seasons was the hit point for some of these players. Alan Shearer did not even play alongside most of these names in this list. I'm even thinking of one.
Yeah, Alan Shearer is more like the odd number here.
Towards Henry's, I think maybe if I'm going to check that one, but Alan Shearer is not even supposed to be there. You know, Diego Costa did not even meet some of them. So if you look at it generally, Reliance, I would not want to completely say the strikers in England now currently are not at the same level with these guys, because Virgil van Dijk, we can't even measure him alone with England. He has been to 2 Champions League finals in just the past few seasons.
Winning one.
So winning one, yes, and getting to 2 finals in the Champions League is not
consecutively.
Biz. Yes, because it's the Champions League. So you don't just, if you use England to measure, Aubameyang I think has proved himself in Germany and has also proved himself in England.
Yeah.
I would not say Aubameyang is not good enough. Salah set a record that all these strikers that he called did not set. So I would not also say Salah is not good enough just because I'm seeing him now. And I'm thinking of the oldies, and I feel Van Dijk is not good enough.
Maybe we can take away Sarah. We can take away Salah because
we can't take away.
We can take him away. You know why we take him away?
Okay,
Salah is his teammate. He's not playing against Van Dijk.
Okay.
So we can take away Salah.
There's no problem with that. Kun Aguero is playing in the same league. He has proven himself in Spain to an extent.
Spanish league,
Atletico Madrid. Any other thing in Spain is Messi. You know, we just judge the second people. Just leave the first man. He has proven himself in Spain. Moved on also to England and consistently has given his all. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, look at where Arsenal did normally, their regular finish, whatever, where they normally finish at the end of the season, rather. Every single season that the man has been with the team. And he still finds himself among the best when it comes to top scorers right there in England. If you want to measure the goals he has been scoring and the others, put it pari passu, side by side with what these other guys did in their time. I think his goal scored, is he not? These guys have been scoring goals. You know, so I think for me, I would not want to say the strikers currently are worse than what we had in the past. Yes, they might not exactly be the same caliber of strikers. Rooney was a fighter and a very hard striker at that when he was played as a number 9, albeit that at some point he was drafted to the number 10 positions and all that stuff. You know, Alan Shearer was also prolific, but if you put it side by side what the guys are doing now, if you want to measure Alan Shearer, if you measure him per career, then you're definitely probably going to insult him by calling all these names. But if you look at his seasonal performance and you look at what Aguero and Aubameyang, the 2 guys I'm talking about now, let's leave Tammy Abraham, those ones are not among the strikers who have paid their dues, you know, in England. You look at Kun Aguero, you look at Aubameyang, from other teams outside Liverpool, then you definitely say they've done their own bit. You know, most times what we do is we judge people after their career and we look at how many seasons you have spent. If you want to do that, Ayegbeni might even be ahead of some of these guys now in the Premier League, because Ayegbeni paid his dues across different teams in different seasons. So I think for me, I will not rush out to just say the strikers currently are not as good as the guys of the past. The guys of the past paid their dues, and they did it across different seasons. These days, you just play 2 or 3 seasons and you're running to Madrid or Barcelona. Aubameyang might just be leaving. Ronaldo did few seasons. I'm sure Ronaldo remained in England and because football changed football has always been changing, but when he moved to Spain, Ronaldo dropped all the skills and flavors and started scoring goals. If he did that in England, I'm sure he would have beaten Salah's record, if he scored the same way he's fighting to score goals now, if he was doing just that in England, I'm sure Salah's record would have been a child's play compared to what Ronaldo would have done. But these days, strikers just spend 1 or 2 seasons and they run away. Van Persie spent all his average days in Arsenal and just spent his successful days in Manchester in 1 or 2 seasons. Boom, it was over towards the end. Adebayo, you can say a lot about the man, but of course, he didn't cut it, in terms of record goal scoring. Managed to score a pretty decent set of goals, yes, in different teams. Now, Arsenal, Man City, and Tottenham across different teams. But how much of those goals did he score per season? How many of them did he score per season? So I think for me, I would not toe that line to say that Lampard was not a striker. You can just see that the man is talking about goal scorers. Lampard was not a striker and had no business being in this list he put out now. So looking at it all through,
but he scored goals.
He scored goals, but do you judge Lampard as this? He said the strikers we have these days are not exactly. Lampard is not a striker. I can call goal scoring midfielders to all be that Lampard definitely would stand out head and shoulders above the other one. So I would not toe that line. The guy, you call Aubameyang, you call Aguero, you call Salah, you call Mane. I can't look at Chelsea now and call Tammy Abraham. No, I can't look at Manchester United and call Marcus Rashford. That would be an insult. So, but I don't actually toe that line that we don't actually have strikers.
What best footballer of the year? Then it was still, I think then it was, we still had that marriage between FIFA and Ballon d'Or marriage to give us the world best of the year when Frank Lampard was ranked number 3. The likes of Ronaldinho was there.
I think they hadn't even joined then. FIFA Ballon d'Or was 2010 to 2015, 5 years.
Very true.
Okay.
They hadn't. Yeah.
Okay.
That was before then. I think 2006 or so. Thereabout.
Now, the last player I can recall, matter of voting or something. Why is it difficult for players from the league, EPL now, to get to that height of top 3?
I think Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, they will always be in the top 3.
Okay.
You understand? Depends on who wins. But these guys are always there for the past 10 years now. So the record shows that players in Spain dominate the FIFA Ballon d'Or or whatever. You want to put it together, you want to separate it. Players in Spain, at the time, because Messi was as well
7 for AC Milan.
So it's difficult to look beyond those star players because even if they don't win it, in 2010, Messi is something the whole world acknowledges. So it will take you doing something extra for you to be able to beat him to that best of the best. Play
till 2020. You won. Alan Shearer made it to 3rd place in 1996 world best list, even playing from England, because I feel Champions League dominated by the Spanish team. Yeah, people come and tell me it's not competitive, it's not this one, it's not that one. If the other teams, if you were competitive enough in England, Arsenal have been testing the Europa League. How many times have they won it? Wolverhampton won. I mean Europa League. Talk more of maybe the Champions League.
That is not to say that the Premier League teams did not do well last season in the Champions League.
No, last season.
Have 3 of them in the semi-finals, right?
They did well.
And all English.
In the past 20, 30 years.
Bobby Charlton, England, Manchester United. In 19 again, you get to 1980, and then you get to 2080, Frank Cristiano Ronaldo, Manchester United. But if you are looking for Barcelona, just close your eyes and
past
open.
40 years.
If you are looking for Real Madrid, close your eye and open. If you are looking for Inter, Juventus,
but check it out.
You can close your eyes
Delima Ronaldo,
and open.
All the big names.
2 new positive tests for coronavirus in the English Premier League, Jamaica. Second round of tests, 2 new positive tests confirmed. Bournemouth have also confirmed that their player have tested positive among the 2 that have tested positive, but they refuse to release the details of the player, not even to tell us the name. So those of you that are wondering why names of coronavirus victims or should I say patients are not giving out, here is Bournemouth. They've refused to give us the name, so it's not a Nigerian thing.
They reserve the right. They have
it's a global thing.
For confidentiality.
All right. So 996 players and club staff were tested and 2 returned.
Well, the project is still on. I think they should have voted for the second phase of training, which will mean that teams will be allowed to go into group training.
Okay.
The project is still on, and if what the chief executive of the Premier League, Richard Masters, said over the weekend is anything to go by, then we should still be hopeful that sometime in June the Premier League will restart, because he said they are as confident as we can to eventually
putting him right there.
Yeah, exactly, restart the Premier League in June. So let's still remain hopeful. 8 positive tests in total now. In the 2 rounds of testing that they've done. They will roll in Germany. That was also the case.
Do you differ? Or do you still believe
it will happen, but it will just take some more time?
Will it extend from now that we have 8 positive tests as of 2 rounds of tests conducted? Do you think it will still be within June or will be extended to July?
I'm definitely not seeing it exactly happening in June. Started training already. Probably we are waiting for confirmation now for group training and all that stuff. If that group training starts maybe by the first week of June, then I'll be confident enough to say, okay, within 2 or 3 weeks it could happen.
But with the results we have so far, would you advise for group training?
Yesterday I said it. July is when I want the league. I feel the league should probably think. If it's June, I think it's too early. If you follow the trends of what is going on in the United Kingdom and even in England proper, I think that time, June month, the month they've set now, just few days. Today is 24th. We're just 7 days from June. Then, I think it's too early. They can do their individual whatever, but let's look at July. I think June is too early for the league to start.
A lot have been said by the duo of Wisdom Obinna, a superman in the world of sports, and Emeka Dena, who is the Odogu one of sports.
According to you.
All right, so time for you to weigh in. There's no Frank. He didn't even mention himself. Whether it's not Frank Lampard, Alan Shearer, Thierry Henry, and the likes. That is why he's been given that status as the best defender in the league. Do you agree with him? And do you think that the current set of strikers are not prolific enough compared to the eras of Drogba and maybe Alan Shearer? All right, let's get to hear you. 0810-9510-951. Unfortunately, we cannot take SMS and WhatsApp portal. Apologies. Okay, if you've already sent SMSs and WhatsApp messages, apologies, we cannot take them. That portal is down. So we're going to stick with our phone lines. 0817 000951, 0810 951 Twitter at Today FM 951. 95.1 Today Sports Live. Name and location.
Okay, my name is John. Good evening.
Your name is?
John.
All right, John. Good evening. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, my contribution about what the Barack said is that, especially from 1990 to date, years defender gives and that have not watched a premiership. So a player, how many seasons have they done it consecutively in the top flight? How many seasons have they been up there that you will give him all-time higher? It's practically not possible.
All right, John. I don't think the argument, John. The argument is not with the all-time. Right now, Virgil van Dijk is touted to be the best defender in the league, and Michael Ballack is saying that is being said because he didn't play in an era where where we have the players I mentioned.
What the former Man City defender said is not now. It's all time.
That's not what we're talking about today.
That's not the argument. That's what I'm saying. That's not the point of discussion. It's Michael Ballack said that the man is lost, man.
I think has been on the limelight. All the strikers in the big clubs in England, compared to the ones we had before. At Chelsea, have who now? For the past 3 years, who are the Giroud, Abraham, who was there last year? You can't significant. Look at Man U, Rashford, Igalo now, and this guy on the wings, Pasha. He goes to Arsenal. Even on Abuma here, come on, you can't compare it with Van Persie. Van Persie was better than him. So for me, I think the strikers we have now are so poor. You can't compare them.
That's according to you.
He said for me.
No, now the statistics will tell us. Now the past 3 years, we had this Van Dijk, his exploit in the Premiership. If you compare the ones we have now, that's what I think.
All right, Chico, appreciate your calling in. 95.1 Today Sports Live. Name and location.
Yeah, this is Mr. Bassi calling from Iwo.
Yeah.
But if you want to look at the era we are now, or the era in the Premier League, you just see that's why Liverpool. Then when you want